Yeah, we know. That logo on the new Deep Purple album, Infinite, sure as hell looks a lot like the Devin Townsend project. We know, we've been hearing it for months. We gotta talk about this album though. Why? Because Deep Purple's been important to heavy metal for a long time. It's been important for classic rock for a long time. It's been important for a lot of things for a long time. There's been countless evolutions and countless bands or individuals that have been influenced by what this group was able to accomplish, not only in the late 60s and throughout the 70s, but even in some modern times. This is a band that by no means has necessarily slowed down. Now What, from a couple of years ago, was a brilliant reminder of that, so hopefully Infinite is able to do the same thing. Now, with this album, we have a couple of interesting facts. First of all, I didn't really expect to hear Ian swear as much as I did on this. Maybe it's just something with his lyricism or what he was feeling at the time. But you definitely get that with, Hip Boots and All I Got Is You. It's kind of crazy whenever you consider it. This is an album that hovers a lot within the 3 to 4 minute range for its songs, with the notable exceptions of 2 tracks. The first one being the Surprising, which is nearly 6 minutes in length and sounds like it's some sort of strange, I don't know, like maybe like jab at The Astonishing by Dream Theater. Think about it. The Astonishing. The Surprising. It sounds like a B movie, and maybe that's the point. Who knows? And the longest track is actually Roadhouse Blues, which isn't even a Deep Purple song at all. It's a really good cover of the Doors track, and it actually concludes this album's basic edition. However, the one thing that needs to be really stated about this album is the keys are off the fucking chain. They are absolutely absurd on this disc, and it's something that you will not be able to ignore. If you know anything about the lineup of this band in its current version, you'll know the name Steve Morse. And if you're a progressive music fan, that name means a lot to you, considering he's been an integral member to bands such as Kansas and the Dixie Dregs, as well as his own project, the Steve Morse Project, with the Steve Morse Band. And what this actually does is it catapults these songs to some new heights. It gives them a lot more character, a lot more kinesis. So on a song such as Hip Boots, for example, you're getting a track that sounds a little bit more like a classic rock song, either that or just a basic rock and roll song that is then able to go a little bit over the top with some of those keys, almost like listening to Kula Shaker doing their version of Hush and hearing those 90s keys tap dance all around the original classic. It's fantastic. And based off of that, it's able to give it a lot more kinesis. It's almost like John Lord was able to resurrect and really put himself in the body of this keyboard player, and they're actually playing as 2 men as opposed to just 1. Now with bands, or with songs such as Johnny's Band or On Top of the World, you're getting a bit of a nice narrative of what it's like to be perhaps on the road or to be in a band. And this is something that's very apropos for a classic rock group or a group that has been around for quite some time to still have this charm to it. This is not a heavy metal record by itself or solely by any stretch of the imagination. Absolutely not. This has its cornerstones in hard rock and blues rock. A little bit of metal here and there, not very much, but none really much needs to be needed, as, redundant as that sounds. And then, of course, the heavy sound of prog rock is definitely on exhibition here. And it's not only the keys, it's the way in which they're able to incorporate the keys with the guitar and the overall juxtaposition that they're able to do within the narratives themselves, within those constructions themselves. And I love the way in which they are just, even at their age, they're just so happy to freeform. They're so happy just to kind of go off the rails a little bit. They get their message out of the way for these tracks and still leave enough time to have some instrumental fun with them. Is it all a little bit predictable from here and there? Is it all something that's, been heard before? Absolutely. But the one thing about this album is that Deep Purple does not sound like a band of aging veterans that are dropping, I believe this is their 20th studio album. Correct me if I'm wrong. This instead sounds like a band that is really maybe eyes off of their first tour and they're growing and evolving with a sophomore or a junior release. They still have a lot of youth and a lot of ambition to them, and I love the fact that Roadhouse Blues cover is what closes this album. I think that's what gives this its ceremonial charm. Principally because it's one that doesn't necessarily aim to replicate the original, but musically it's so damn close that you don't even care that it's not Jim Morrison singing these bars. In fact, if anything, it gives it that individuality. That individuality that is so often attempted to be claimed by bands of this generation by completely changing up the overall narrative of a track whenever they aim to cover it. Whenever in reality, all you have to do is cover the song, play the song the way in which it was written, and there's a good chance that you're going to be able to put your own spin on it enough with your unique voice and your unique personality. Deep Purple shows how to do this right, considering they come from the age where at the beginnings of their career it was still exceptionally commonplace for songs to be covered by other individuals, perhaps to help them get on the map, or just to show their generalized love and support. Overall, this isn't that bad of a record. In fact, it's one that definitely deserves a lot of exploration. If you want to know a little bit about one of the classic hard rock acts that actually helped heavy metal spring post its way into prominence, then this is one to pick up, and it will be a nice little history lesson in music in general, considering it's able to flip from, you know, hard rock to blues rock and then incorporate some prog and some heavier moments here and there. It's a nice way to show just how closely related all of these different subgenres of music are, and show just how much of the hair of the dog it is from one to the next. And it's also one that shows why you should respect all of those different versions of music, considering they do have such a close link, but also considering from one came the other. The growth and evolution of music itself usually starts with one singular idea, which means that it's also no surprise that metal currently has like 300 subgenres. But either way, this is a disc that gets a 19 out of 30. It's not necessarily anything that I've never heard before from Deep Purple, but damn, it was a fun album. It was a great album to listen to. It's one that I want to go back to. And I have a feeling that whenever you listen to this, you're going to have the same idea. If you can get past the fact that Infinite, you know, that album cover. Yeah, a lot of you were pissed about that. I don't know why. I want to know what you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments below. And of course, we are still running this huge, super awesome charity stream-a-palooza for one-of-a-kind pets in Akron, Ohio. This is a no-kill animal shelter that takes actually the animals that were on death row in other shelters and gives them a second chance at finding a forever friend, getting adopted, all within a super clean facility that's totally progressive. You actually can go and interact with your friend prior to taking them home. Their fees are low and they run explicitly on donations, so let's help them out. If you wish to make a donation to the cause, there is a link in the description box below for you to do so, and if you do, thank you very much. We appreciate it. I'm Cover Killer Nation, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.